Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today I thought I'd show you how I'm farming keys really quickly with the Monk on Season 20. So this is Patterns of Justice, Season 20 T16. Now the season theme is open canized cube, so we get to take 4 weapons on the character and in the cube, which is great. It means we can move really quickly, it means we've got crazy attack speed, it can hit pretty hard, and this build is so easy to play, it's ridiculous. It's very fast and it's very consistent, so it doesn't matter what map you get, it's based completely on move speed. So we do have almost infinite teleport, but we don't really need it. We've got such great move speed that any map is pretty much the same time. But before we begin, a quick word from today's video sponsor, and this is a product I really believe in, helps me get those higher GRs busted out easy peasy.
Essential oils, aromas for natural wellness and healing. But current products aren't made for gamers. Now there's a better way to holistically improve your game with sense-like strategy, kill-death ratio, and dominance. All of them mostly safe and distilled using nature science. This is what victory smells like.
Only messing, guys, today's video is actually sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm very active in the game and I do play it every day. It's got great graphics, and each dungeon level or arena match has its own unique problem. You've got to work out how best to put your team together or which champions are going to disrupt the enemy team. Now, the daily logins have been extended from 90 to 180 days with the legendary champion on offer. I really do enjoy playing the game. Now, if you are new and you fancy giving it a go, there is a link in the video description for the next 30 days to get 100,000 silver and a free champion, the Dark Elf Hexweaver. She's going to be really good for early game. She's got a team speed up, and speed is very important early on, so hopefully speaking she'll help you out. Remember, guys, your goodies are in your inbox, which is here in the game. So thanks again to Raid for sponsoring. Now back to the video, but man, I do wish those game royals were real. Now, looking at the Patterns of Justice, we're going to take the full 6 pieces. So the 2-piece Sweeping Wind gains every rune. That's a bit meh, don't really care about that. But we do get 5% move speed for every stack of Sweeping Wind. Now, normally speaking, you get 3 stacks, but because we're going to have a Vengeful Wind fist weapon, this gives us an extra 10 stacks, so that's 13 and gives us 65% move speed. Now, for a 2-piece bonus, that's pretty good. 4-piece, we get 50% damage reduction when we attack with Tempest Rush. That doesn't really matter because we've got the Boon of the Hoarder legendary gem, we've got the gold wrap, and also the Avarice band. So as we kill enemies, Boon of the Hoarder makes them drop gold. The Avarice band will increase our pickup radius as we collect gold, and the gold will make us immortal because the gold wrap's just got such high armour, so that's going to handle the toughness. Now, the 4-piece of the POJ also gives us extra spirit regen. This is actually really handy because it is a thirsty skill, Tempest Rush, but we do also have a way of pushing a button, spending a bit more spirit and getting that little bit of extra damage, so the extra regen is very handy. Now, the 6-piece, when we hit with Tempest Rush, provided Sweeping Wind is active, we get 15,000% extra damage, which is obviously a pretty nice multiplier. Now, because it's Tempest Rush, that means balance in the cube. This is a Diablo. We're going to get 600% increased damage for Tempest Rush. We also get 100% critical hit chance when we hit 3 or fewer enemies. We're also going to take the Tempest Rush fist weapon, the Wan Kim Lao. This is going to give us up to 600% damage, which is great, but it also activates Cyclone Strike. Now, that's awesome because for a T16 build, it means we're going to vortex enemies in towards us, which is nice, but we also get to freeze them with the cold rune, Wall of Wind. Having them frozen means that the Caesar's Memento braces are activated. This gives us up to 800% extra damage on Tempest Rush for enemies that are blinded, frozen or stunned, and obviously we're going for the freeze. Now, obviously pretty big damage between the POJ and also between balance and Wan Kim Lao. The only thing obviously is Juggernauts, you're not going to freeze them, so you know, it just is what it is with POJ, but still it's pretty quick and you've got such a big punch. Now, the other weapon we're going to take is an Echoing Fury. Now, this will give us up to 75% attack speed, which is a huge amount of attack speed, really good for Zodiac procs, really good for just extra damage in general. Plus we also get up to 25% move speed out of this. Now, whether you want this on the character or not will be a bit of a balance because your Wan Kim Lao rolls on a range, so that's kind of good to get in the cube. Vengeful Wind does roll on a range, but we don't care about Sweeping Wind damage, so just any ancient one of these. But I will talk about the Fear secondary on the Echoing Fury when we talk about the gear swap, because you can use that to get a bit more move speed. but in general the fear is a little annoying, but to be honest, you do so much damage. I didn't really notice that stuff was running away, it was just getting melted before it even had a chance, so pretty nice. Gem wise, we've got a Bane of the Trapped giving us more damage again, so again, not applying to Juggernaut, but other than that, flat damage, which is great. We also have a Taeguk. This will hit jugs, this will just hit everything at 10 stacks, up to like 50-60% damage, depends on your gem level. Now what I would say is, at the moment I'm doing fairly well for damage, things are getting melted pretty quick, so I'm maybe getting close to swapping one of these gems, probably the Bane of the Trapped for a Wreath of Lightning to get even more move speed, but at the moment this is how I've got it set up and this is how it was in the footage. So rounding us out with the gear, the Zodiac Ring is going to give us cooldown. Now actually the skills we've only actually got one on a cooldown, which is the teleport, so Dashing Strike. What it means is that basically every proc goes into that, so whenever you want to use the teleport it is pretty much there. Got about 40% CDR on the character, so it's only like 5 or 6 hits and you've got yourself one extra charge of teleport, so it is pretty nice. Now this is very debatable, you could absolutely swap this off, and you could maybe go for either Stone of Jordan if you wanted a bit more max spirit and also some extra damage. You'd have to match your element, again we'll talk about that when we look at the skills, so probably it would be physical. Or you could go for Convention of Elements, which would give you spike damage, again a little bit clunky, maybe not the most consistent thing for T16, but will be more damage. And the last swap is the Larceny Ring, and that would give you up to 60% move speed for 4 seconds after your fear. Now it does have chance to fear on hit on the secondary, that's where the Echoing Fury could come in. Now what I found is that actually I quite like the Zodiac just for the extra uptime on teleport, it's just there all the time, but by all means if you wanted to go for a bit more move speed, the Larceny Ring will probably be my next choice, subject to making sure that you weren't looking to get more damage into it. So last two items, the Flavour of Time, again very swappable, doesn't really, it's not fundamental to this, but what it will do is it will double the duration of pylons, so obviously if you're speed drifting, that is very nice. And then finally, Nemesis Braces, we obviously want elites because we want progression, and we also want to get DBs, stuff like that. For gems in the gear, obviously Dex gems in the chest and also in the trousers, and then we also probably want to take a resource cost gem in the helm, because as I said, Tempest Rush is a bit thirsty. With the crazy high attack speed from the Echoing Fury, we do actually kind of burn through spirit fairly quickly. Now if you did have resource cost rolls on your gear, you could certainly swap this out for a cooldown gem, or perhaps again another emerald to get some more gold. Again we'll talk about skills, there are plenty of things you can do with this, so if you did desperately want to get the gold gem in here, there is a skill swap that you can do that will mean that any spirit problems will just disappear. But as I say, this is how it was in the footage, so I thought we'll leave it like that. Now in terms of the skills, Tempest Rush, Tailwind, this gives us 25% extra move speed basically. So physical rune on it, so you want to make sure you get physical in your braces and amulet to match it, but it's completely debatable. So let's say you got yourself a really nice one Kim Lao, that rolls with extra lightning damage on it, so you could always swap it over to Electric Field and use that, absolutely fine, but I just find that the extra move speed, it seems to make the most sense to me. Cyclone Strike, Wall of Wind, we've talked about this, you don't want to change this at all, this will freeze the enemies, proc the Season Memento, that's great. Now after that, Sweeping Wind obviously mandatory, you can't take this off, doesn't matter what rune you pick at all. And after that, I'd probably say Dashing Strike is the most important because we want to teleport. Now because we've got Tailwind, it's not flurry, it's not cold, we're not building stacks up, so you can teleport whenever you want, it doesn't drop your stacks, you're just dealing consistent damage. The rune, the Way of the Falling Star, will give us 20% extra move speed for 4 seconds. As I say, you get charge every 8 seconds. With your CDR applied, with the Zodiac, it basically just means that you can constantly just teleport every few seconds. Blip, blip, blip. I tend not to use the teleport mechanic to get around, I just use the move speed, but it is there if you want to whiz across the map a little quick. Now the next one that I like is Mantra of Conviction with Annihilation. So we get bonus damage 8%, that's nice. We also get 30% move speed for 3 seconds after we kill an enemy that has had the mantra applied to it. Now if you want to pop this, the damage goes up to 16%, so in the footage you might see me, when I get to an elite, I just pop it just to get that little bit of extra damage. You don't have to, you don't really need it. You could just be completely lazy and not press it, and the 8% damage and move speed would be perfectly fine. Now the last skill is really debatable. I've put Mystic Ally Fire Ally in just to get the extra 10% damage, but if you wanted to stick with the Mystic Ally, let's say you've got spirit problems, you could go for Air Ally. That will give you some extra spirit regen passively, and whenever you popped it you get 100 spirit. Obviously if you do press it, it's on a cooldown, so Zodiac procs are going to go into that and away from your teleport. You could also take Epiphany, and you could go for Insight. That again would give you loads of spirit regen, but again 60-second cooldown would funnel some procs away from teleport, but again it would absolutely take any spirit problems away. But this is kind of how I've got it set up. Now again, maybe once I've got a bit more damage I might play with this one, and what I was using, which was quite nice from the push build, was Serenity Ascension. So if you wanted to dump the 10% extra damage that we've got from the Fire Ally, this is nice because it means at the start of the rift, when you don't have any gold wrap bonus, you can just pop this and you get 4 seconds of complete damage immunity, CC immunity, kill your first enemy and you become immortal. Again, handy for changing floors, or if you get like a patch of the map where there just aren't any mobs and you want to avoid death. So again, that's something that I'll probably swap over with another 1 or 2 augments on the kit, but it is pretty nice. Passives, Beacon of Utah, 20% extra cooldown, just seems to make sense, just brings that teleport cooldown a little bit nearer. Again, if you may be wanting to use Mystic Ally or what was the other skill that we said? Epiphany. Can never remember that. Yeah, if you want to use either of those two, that's going to help for that. But again, you could certainly swap that off, not mandatory. Momentum, we basically move 25 yards and get 20% extra damage. Seems to make sense, we're running around, so extra damage, may as well take it. Near death experience, just in case we run out of gold, seems to make sense. We might activate this at the start of the rift, just without having any enemies. So again, Ascension would help for that. And Relentless Assault, 20% extra damage against frozen enemies, again seems to make sense. But honestly guys, the passives this is about as open as they ever get for a T16 build. So again, fleet of foot, you could get some more move speed. If you want to fix a spirit problem, you could just try putting this on, leave the build exactly as it is and put this one on and get extra max spirit and extra spirit regen. There's quite a lot that you can do with this. You don't have to take these passives, and the flexibility is pretty nice. I do quite like that. So I guess that probably covers the gear and the skills. It is quite nice because there are lots of flexible items to this. In terms of playstyle, obviously you just need to activate Sweeping Wind, make sure it keeps itself up generally. It will drop off occasionally if you go through a patch without any density. Just pop it again, absolutely fine. And then other than that, all you do is hold down Tempest Rush, everything gets sucked towards you because of the Cyclone Strike that goes off. They get frozen, they get melted, and if you do need a little bit of extra damage, Mantra of Conviction and teleport, a bit more move speed, or just zip around the map. So it is pretty fun and it is pretty easy. So as I say, I just can't really imagine a T16 build that is easier to play. It's really like Whirlwind, to be honest, so maybe that's why I like it quite a lot. But other than that guys, I can't think of too much else to say about the build. Hopefully in the background the footage has shown that it is pretty quick. All these rifts were really consistent. I'll stick one at the end of the video for you now just so you can have a little watch of it. Now thanks again to Raid for sponsoring. I'll be back with some more Season 20 content. If there is anything you would like me to cover, just let me know. I've got a Demon Hunter rolled, so Multi-Shot is on the way, the Savage Barb is on the way, and also the Hydra set. I'm going to have a little play around with that. But if there's any builds you want me to cover, stick it in the comments guys. More than happy to take requests at this stage of the season, because obviously it looks like we might have a bit longer to go. Other than that, I hope you're staying safe. I'll be back with some more Season 20 content pretty soon. Take it easy. Peace.